Welcome back to the Motorhead YouTube channel. Today, guys, we have a big day ahead of us. So we have all the parts from the Nissan Pulsar GTI-R right here at our shop, and we're gonna start paint prepping them today. I'm gonna go over them. We got a lot of stuff to get into, and these things are pretty rough. So they are gonna all need to be primed. That way when we're painting, we have a nice, smooth, blank canvas to work with no issues. So we're gonna dive right into it and get started and get it all ready for paint, and then eventually we'll get the car here and we'll get it all painted and all put back together. And I just can't wait to see this car all restored, looking absolutely incredible. So let's get right into this video and let's go over what we need to do. So if you go over these parts, you can just see rock chips everywhere, scratches, pitting, and even some clear peeling right there. So these parts need to be very thoroughly sanded down and prepped for primer, and I don't want to just go ahead and sand this and paint over it because it's just going to have a bunch of imperfections. There's going to be rings and everything, and we don't want that. So first thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and tear all this stuff off. As you can see, these will also need to be painted. They don't look bad, so I don't think we even need to prime them, but we might prime them just to be safe. But I'm just kind of worried about getting too much layers on these letters here, so we'll save that for last. For now, I want to just tear down these bumpers completely, get them all tore down and ready for primer. Then from there, we'll start sanding and see how bad it is. Here is the wing. This thing is crazy. As you know, that thing looked very funky without it, but this thing actually costs like $2,300, so we need to be very careful with this. It's crazy how rare all these parts are. We're gonna go ahead and also sand this down completely and get it primed as well. This is a part that gets a lot of sun, so we wanna make sure we do that right. And then these side skirts have took their fair share of beating, as you can see from sitting around. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll tear it all down and we'll start stripping these things down, getting them ready. We gotta do all this by hand because these things are so rusty. I don't even know if they're gonna unscrew, and definitely don't wanna be throwing impact at it. See, look at that. I guess they're gonna break anyways. So this car is gonna need complete new hardware pretty much on the entire car. I think it's really cool that this whole thing has these brake ducts right here. That's actually pretty surprising. That one was starting to go and then it just snapped, so hopefully it shouldn't be too big of a deal getting them off the back end without damaging the plastic. At least we got one that unscrewed. But yeah, so I think we could just bend that off and get it off, and then we'll just put I'll just have to order a bunch of 10 millimeters and a bunch of these little nuts right here because they're all over the car, and pretty much every single one that I've worked on has been rusted completely through. So we're gonna try and get this off and then we'll move on to that side. Hopefully I can get this off. I really don't want to drill or grind on it because that tends to melt the plastic. So we're gonna get ourselves a clip popper for that. These came off pretty easy too. I'm gonna go ahead and respray these two. As you can see, they're really wore down. We're gonna sand them down nicely and prime them as well. That way when it's time to paint them, we'll have a nice surface to bond to because it's already sticking through and it's starting to chip off. So I don't wanna just do it however and end up having to redo it later. So we're gonna do it right from the get-go. And from there, we'll go ahead and get it all ready for some paint. I got myself a little baggie for hardware, but it looks like these little clips are the only thing that's going in there since everything else is breaking. And the ones that didn't break, I really don't want to put back onto the car. So we're just going to get new stuff. I want the final result of this car to be like super awesome. So if someone ever does look or take it apart, it'll have all nice hardware, maybe even zinc plated if I can find it. Zinc plates everything. So yeah, we're gonna get all this off and then we'll move on. The back bumpers just need to remove that little mud flap and then that's it. So we'll do that next. and then we can go ahead and start prepping all this stuff for paint. So the rear bumper came apart surprisingly easily. Nothing was really rusted onto there, and it had newer hardware, so it's probably replaced. But now that everything is stripped down, we're gonna get our dustless system from Merca. We'll get it over here and we'll start sanding this stuff down. I really like using that system because it doesn't really kick anything up into the air. And as you can see, my car has been sitting here for a while and there's no dust on it. Same with all those cars. Before I got that dustless system, one body job would just fill this entire shop full of dust. So really cool tool. But we're gonna do it all in our little primer bay. That way it's contained, and let's get it over there and start sanding it down. And hopefully it's not too difficult and we can get all these imperfections out relatively easy, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I went ahead and cleaned all the parts off super nicely. Man, this front bumper was extremely rough. We had so many imperfections to get, and we also had to just fiddle with all these little inserts. So definitely wasn't fun getting this thing ready for primer, but overall, I think it's pretty good. We might have to reprime the front bumper a second time. Really no big deal. Rear bumper also had a bunch of imperfections in it. We went ahead and fixed them all and got this thing ready too. So this also looks good. And this right here, by the time we were able to get all that busted clear coat off, we basically stripped the entire wing. So this is definitely gonna need a good coat of primer. So I'm gonna epoxy prime everything first, and we're gonna do a wet on wet. That way we'll have a nice firm grab. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna spray some adhesion promoter, and then we'll epoxy all this. And then the epoxy is extremely hard to sand, so we'll throw some regular 2K on top of that. That way we can get all these little corners here. We also had to fix a lot of scratches on the bottom of the bumper. They had previously filled them with filler, so we got all that sanded down, and now it looks awesome. So let's go ahead and get started. We'll throw that adhesion, and then from epoxy, we'll throw the final 2K and see how it looks. And maybe the bumper will have to be primed a second time, or maybe we can sand it real nicely and it won't be a big deal. So let's go ahead and get started and start spraying. All right, guys, check it out. I gotta say, this turned out a lot better than I thought. This thing had so many little imperfections everywhere, and as you can see, it looks absolutely beautiful. Everything turned out super smooth, and that epoxy is very strong, and it just encapsulates this bumper real nicely. Then we also got the 2K on top, which is gonna make it super easy to sand. So I'm super happy about that. This right here is ready for paint. Rear bumper looks immaculate. No imperfections on it whatsoever. And it is also ready for paint. Same with this spoiler and the side skirts. So overall, super happy with this stuff. It turned out awesome. Next, we need to get the car here, and we'll bring it into this room right here. And this is where I'll do the restoration of it. This is where we'll trim out all the interior, all the jams of the car, and then we'll paint it in the booth. So that's next up. For now, this is going to be the end of the Pulsar, and we're gonna move on to another project. Okay guys, so now we are working on my 1987 E30 M3. If you guys are new to the channel, this is my LS swapped BMW M3. And if you guys watched the last episode, you'll see that we got this thing base tuned and now it runs good. So we have to get it ready for the dyno. A couple things I'm noticing that I need to redo is this fuel line right here. So I didn't want it running by the exhaust because of risk of fire. So I ran it through the wheel well, and now as I'm looking with the tire, it looks like it's definitely going to hit, and we don't want that. But I'm not 100% sure whether it's going to be okay in there. So what I want to do is I'm going to lower the car onto a block, turn the wheel full lock left, and we're going to test it and see if the wheel hits. Oh man, look at that. That is some beautiful fitment though, but would probably destroy these fenders. And these were $1,500 from Germany, so. But gosh, man, that would look so good like that. A lot of people didn't like these wheels. These are real TEs, they're OGs, very old ones. But I mean, I think they look pretty sick. Obviously, those wheels are gonna go back onto the car. And I actually have a question for you guys about the color. I am changing the color of the faces, and I got a whole bunch of sticks of powder coat samples, and we're gonna go over those in a second, and whatever color you guys pick may be the winner. So definitely don't like this color. It's just not the type of gold that I wanted, and it kind of looks brown. It looks a lot better on camera. In person, it looks even worse. So we're definitely going to switch to face color and then rebuild them. So kind of sucks, but whatever. I want this car to be perfect. So let's go ahead and test this real quick and then move on. Okay, so full lock. It's not touching, but man, it's just way too close for comfort. So I think I'm going to route it the other way, and we'll get some heat wrap for it and just run it like that. So we're going to get the car up in the air, and then hopefully I can find some heat wrap local and we can button this up. All right guys, so I don't know what I was thinking with this, but we got to redo it. So we're going to take it out, and hopefully I can route it back there as close to the wall as possible, and we'll get this fixed and move forward. All right, so I got my fuel line installed, and there's an adequate amount of space here. So I'm gonna have it up against the wall like that. I think that'll be okay. And what we're going to do before anything is I need to install my rear brake inverter. And then once I get that installed, we'll go ahead and finalize all this wiring and make it look good. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that, and I'll show you what it looks like all finished up. All right guys, check it out. We have plenty of room between the headers and this. I'm also gonna add heat wrap here. And as you can see, our diverter and all of our lines run back here. One thing I'm gonna do is, I do not have them right now, but I wanna add riv nuts and bolt all these down with riv nuts. That way they will be secure. These are bolted to the factory ones, but I just want riv nuts here. That way this will never come loose, because then obviously we have an issue with our exhaust. So I got it up against this rail. That way it's away from the exhaust. And like I said, I'm gonna order some heat wrap as well, and I'll put it around all these lines, and we'll get this whole area right here heat wrapped. And then my clutch line is ran up there. I got it far away from the header, and I ran it up through the top here so we didn't have to worry about another line here, because the way I had my clutch line before was running up under here, and it's going to be right next to this heat, and we don't want that. Even this right here I don't like, but that was literally going directly over the pipe. At least we have an inch here, and this will be heat wrapped, so it won't be as bad. And it's metal. I just wasn't comfortable with this braided line coming out here, so we got it up there. I also have some mounts on the way for these things. This is going to mount to here. This is to bleed the clutch, so it's going to be mounted onto this bolt. I'm just going to have a little clamp that goes around and bolts here, and that'll be mounted for good. And then once we riv nut all this stuff, it'll all be mounted for good, and it's going to work out really well, I believe. I'm really happy with all this. I had to take the hydro boost off, which completely sucks, man. It was so much work to get that hydro boost off, but I'm glad everything is done now, so we can put the hydro boost in for good, because I'm no longer worried about any of my wires touching. My oxygen sensor was actually up against the header and it burned it, so I had to redo it, and now I got it running along the transmission, and there's plenty of room in the tunnel right there, so nothing is getting crushed. And I just went ahead and zip tied all the excess there. Don't know why this thing ain't focusing, but as you can see, it's all done. So once those mounts and everything come in, we'll get that done. Sicky also sent me the correct clamps here. This is just what I had for now, because it was literally dumping straight out of the headers, but they sent me the correct V-band, so that's going to be next on the list. As soon as that comes in, we'll weld that up. We'll take this exhaust off, weld it completely, finish up my mounts, and then the exhaust system will be complete. And that'll pretty much be it for the underside. And then we can go ahead and bleed all of our fluids and drive this thing for the first time, which is extremely exciting considering where it was to where it is now. I'm just so happy with everything and can't wait. Once all our stuff comes in, we'll clean all this up and I'll show you the final product. And then after that, it's gonna be time to finally rip this thing. Okay, so here are those choices I was talking about for powder coat. These are flat, but they will be clear coated, so let me know what you guys think. We got a metallic gold, flat silver, and a really metallic-y silver. These two right here are really what I want. I'm just stuck in between. I'm not sure which one to do. This is the gold I originally wanted, but as you can see, the picture I was showing actually had a filter on it, so it looked more like this gold in the pictures, and it just wasn't the gold I wanted. So I got all of these from Prismatic Powders, and they basically gave me a bunch of samples. I don't like any of these right here. I think they're extremely tacky. White was also a good question, because I really like how that white looks. So that one's kind of in the air. I don't know about this one or those. And then this polished look, it's just gonna look way too different from my lips. As you can see, there's gonna be a noticeable difference, and it's just not worth it unless I were to go ahead and do the lips too. But these lips are polished and then clear coat powder coated, so I definitely want to keep those like that. The reason I did that was because they will no longer oxidize, and now I can just clean them like painted wheels, and they'll stay clean like painted wheels. So that's gonna stay like that. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'm really leaning towards this color, but then again, a silver would look really nice too. I know a lot of people do that, especially with the Heartgate wheels, and I think that looks awesome. But this color is just not doing it for me. And also, guys, where is it at? This wheel has a crack right there, and it's cracking all the way through. And then also there's a crack here. Where is it at? Right there. So these faces, well, this one face is bad. I have a new face right here, fixie forged. So we're gonna have to clean that up a little bit and then take all the faces off and powder coat them. So let me know. I definitely do like the gold. I think the gold would pop on there. Even this color looks good on there, but it's just too brown for my liking. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and stay tuned. We'll get them powder coated and back on the car. All right, guys, that's a wrap for today's video. It's extremely late. I'm ready to head home. I'm super happy with everything that I just did, because that was something I was kind of procrastinating, And I'm really glad it's something I went ahead and took care of, because later, if I just forgot about it, eventually, you know, we could have had the wheel rub through the gas, and that could have been very catastrophic, or even some of the brake lines or clutch lines get melted by the exhaust. I'm glad I was able to go in there, route everything exactly how I want it, and now we're good to go. So stay tuned, guys. That means that this car is very soon going to be driving. All we got to do is bleed all these systems now, and then this thing is going to be ripping. So as soon as that V-band comes in, we'll get those welded on. We'll get our exhaust finished up, and from there, we can go ahead and start bleeding all the system, get it driving, and from there, take it straight to the dyno. And then finally, I get to rip my dream car. I can't believe that this thing is here. This has been a dream in the making. And also, guys, big shout out to Jegs. They're actually doing a very cool promotion for cancer research. If you guys want to check it out, I'll drop the link down to that below. And also, they wrote an article on my car. It's a really cool article with the origin of the car, the origin of my bodywork skills and everything. So I'll also link that down below if you guys want to see it. So big shout out to all you guys for all your love and support. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting and liking. Thanks for all the support. Shout out to whoever told me about the brake lines. Shout out whoever told me about the catch can. You guys are helping me so much. Someone actually came here the other day and they're like, man, they were seeing all the work I was doing. They're like, how do you know how to do this? And the answer is, I don't. I'm just learning as I go. This is my first LS platform. We've made a lot of mistakes. Scott showed me the tuning issues I made. You know, so many people have showed me the issues I made with the LS. It's my first V8, and honestly, I'm loving just learning how to do it and everything. And the best part about it is when this car is all said and done, I'll know that I built it all myself, and all my blood, sweat, and tears went into it. So I love it, and I'm super excited to get it running. If you want, hit that bell so you don't miss the first drive of this thing, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.